Hey guys, welcome back to class. This is Brian from BAM Anxiety, and I teach you guys emotional freedom to be yourself. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you know when I am bringing out new content. So today's topic is about finding love. We kind of had a set precedents to get to this point. We learned about our paradigms, our mirrors that we create, especially as we create the looking glass image of ourselves, as well as how we interact with the world with our person-environment transaction. Now, how is it that we find love? First, we must understand one thing and one thing only as we move on from here to the rest of our lives, is that you are what you attract. Now, this is very difficult for us to really understand, so I'm going to use a metaphor, which is the house. Now, it's very funny because right now with our coronavirus quarantine, we're definitely stuck in there. I want you to understand that this house actually protects you, right? It's a home. It meets our biological needs: food, water, shelter, even sex sometimes, right? Now, as we are looking at you are what you attract, you need to understand that for you to attract something out in the world, you need to get out of your house. Why is it that we're so fond of living in our house? Well, let's think of the house as the ego. Now, if we look at Sigmund Freud, who coined the term, he said that the ego is the mediator between the id and the superego. Superego is our morals, the thing that makes us feel guilty, and then the id is that thing that has the instant gratification, that has the biological needs, that is trying to want. The ego is the thing that satisfies both. Now, if our ego is not satisfied, then no one's happy. So it's very important that we understand how our ego works. So our ego is just a protective layer, right? And this little guy right here is us. Now, we need to understand one thing, and that's that we are actually love. We were made of love. We can learn to love, we give love. We have the energy and the ability to do such. Our heart actually emanates an electromagnetic wave when we feel love. And it also sends a different kind of vibration when we feel fear. Now, as we are taking that in consideration, we can still understand that you are what you attract. This is the law of attraction, guys. This is what karma is. Whatever you put out there is going to reciprocate back. And that is what happens, right? We meet someone, we're trying to find love, either within ourselves, in the world, or in others, and something gets agitated, right? We have energy centers in our bodies. Now, we can look at this in different ways, such as the spiritual Kundalini chakra system, or we can also look at it from a scientific bioenergetics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It needs to move through our body, and we have energy centers. Now, these energy centers, think about them as little houses, and we have the door open or closed to the world. When we meet someone that gives us that instant gratification of love at first sight, they open something in our heart or maybe in our hara. This is the agitation. Why? Because there was a pattern, there was maybe a vibration, or maybe it just hit the right spots where it allowed you to open up. You're supposed to open up because that's how energy flows out. If you're closed, then energy is staying in. And what happens when energy is just rotating in there? It's almost like an atomic bomb. Eventually, it will explode. We have different expressions such as violence or lust, in which our ego creates channels, neural pathways, where neurons that fire together wire together. So they create habits, and it makes it very difficult for us to break those habits because it's so easy for the energy to just channel out through those channels. Now, let's take in consideration that we are love, right? We are trapped inside there. We have built a house around ourselves to protect ourselves from the outside world. Why? Maybe because of what we learned, right? Or what we experience. Nature and nurture. Someone has come in our lives and they hurt us or they treated us bad. We don't want that anymore, so we close ourselves to the world. It's very difficult. So what happens is that because we're stuck in our house, especially during the coronavirus quarantine, we just build garbage in there. And it makes it very difficult for us to even move. We need to clean sometimes, we need to throw away the trash. But how do we do that when we can't leave our house? We have a trash man. That trash man comes every Wednesday to pick up your trash. But we need to be present or patient enough for that to occur. Now, what most oftentimes happens is that we'll take our trash and we'll try to dump it on our neighbor's lawn. That's karma. Whatever you're putting out there is going to come back. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the same thing. So that's why we have these mismatches with the relationships. It makes it very difficult for us to be okay with living in our house because there's so much smell, there's so much garbage, and we're trying to dump it on someone else and they don't want it either. So as we are looking at presence, we need to understand that we need to be aware of our thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Our reactions are when we dump our garbage to our neighbor's lawn. Now, how do we become present? Well, it's the same idea of trying to clear the garbage that's in front of the mirrors, right? We are the observer. We are inside. You need to ask yourself, are you in there? And most oftentimes you'll say, yes. You are the one that is observing your mind. Try to say hi in your head and then louder, right? Are you the observer of your mind? That is the first step. Being able to separate, take a step back from that. Take a step back, look at the garbage. Okay, I might have to clean up a little bit around here. I do have garbage bags, that's perfectly fine. I can do the smaller stuff first before the garbage man comes today. As you're doing that, you want to be able to understand that you have an inner body. This inner body, right here, is the one that is moving, that is experiencing the house, the world. But for you to get out in the world and find a mate, find love, or even for yourself, you need to be able to open that door. Now, as we go through the day, we are kind of cleaning up and we take a step back. How do we stay focused within ourselves and be productive? How do we not get caught up in all this mess? Is by seeing the inner body. It's by feeling the inner body. The best way that I've learned to do this is, again, through the yogic kundalini practice of feeling your back, feeling your spine. Being able to focus on your spine allows you to feel the back of your head, the back of your neck, the top half of your back, the middle of your back, your lower back, your coccyx, and then the back of your legs. Because it's all connected. There's information that's flowing up and down. Being able to have that control allows you to feel and experience at the same time. You have awareness outside and inside, allowing you to know what you're feeling, what emotions are coming up. As these emotions come up, then you can take inventory of these thoughts and feelings, because these emotions will trigger some thoughts. Thoughts and feelings have a correlation and they influence our actions. There is a space between the stimulus and the response that we have choice, and that's where presence comes in. Why is this so difficult? It's because our ego has created defense mechanisms. See, the ego actually is the Tyler Durden of our driver's seat. We have let the craziness take over. Why? Because he thinks he knows better than you about surviving. It's kept you safe all this time, and now he's in the driver's seat. And what oftentimes occurs as it's trying to see reality is that perception is reality. So sometimes because of perceptions, because of our belief systems, our reality is warped. And our ego is trying to protect us psychologically from harm, from trauma, from any unwanted needs and desires. We are trying to have the ability to not be that unconscious because the ego has a layer of unconscious to it. The id is our primal instinct. Our superego has some form of consciousness and some form of unconsciousness as well. So as we are taking consideration that this house is still trying to protect us, we need to be able to open it up to the world. We need to get out of our house. That's the only way we can separate ourselves from the ego. And how do we do that? By cleaning up some of the garbage that we have in the doorway. That's the only way that we can open the door and get the bigger bags that we have in the back. Now, if you don't know what is trash, you can take inventory. So as we're taking inventory, we're taking consideration of what we were feeling and what we were thinking and what was the stimulus or trigger that actually agitated these thoughts and feelings. As we start doing that, then we can start seeing, oh, when this occurs, I usually feel and think this. This creates a separation. You can journal this as well as you can do this in everyday life as well. Now, as we take tally and take inventory, now we can take a moment. We can take a moment to see whether we are living in the past, present, or future. This allows us to see where are we predominantly living. Are we living in the future? Stress, anxiety, are we living in the past? Depression, fear? And whether these thoughts and feelings are negative, neutral, or positive. Being able to take inventory of yourself will allow you to take control. It allows you to see outside the window and know when the garbage man is coming. Now, as we do this, we now have the ability to see which house is trying to open. We have 3 houses. We have our hara, right? This is our gut brain. We have our hearts, our heart brain, and then we have our head, our mind. Being able to know where the energy in our body is predominantly coming from allows us to know where are we at on this scale. Being able to see whether we are functioning from our biological needs, our psychological needs, or whether we are functioning from essence. This is our hara, our head, and our heart. Being able to function from your heart allows love to come in and allows love to come out. We become a channel of energy as we allow the good stuff in and let also not just the bad stuff, but the good stuff out. So that's how you find love. Why? Because our ego is going to do things to keep us safe. It will try to attract us to certain environments that we feel wanted and needed. It will try to manipulate the outside world because it doesn't feel like what we want it to look like. We will cover the windows, or we will do things specifically to be selected or to be rejected by people to justify our victimhood. Because if you're not feeling love, then there's a deficiency of self-love. We need to understand why, because if we don't, then we can't pull out the roots to actually allow a new tree to grow. And you allow yourself to love yourself by giving yourself permission to. You haven't allowed yourself to open the door and see the outside world. You are stuck in your house because you chose to do that. Now you have to choose to open yourself. Now, it may be difficult because you're going to feel it, especially if you have a lot of junk in there, especially if you have garbage and pent up resentment and even trauma. It's going to be very difficult. But nonetheless, I will let you know, if you dedicate yourself to the path of freeing yourself from this garbage, you will be in love all the time. You will be able to attract anything you want. Why? Because people are attracted to love. You don't have to do anything. That's what it is. This is what you are. People are attracted to people that love the things that they do. People are attracted to people that love people. people are attracted to people that give love. So keep that in mind as you're going through your days moving forward. If you feel like you're depriving yourself from love, then it could be self-love deficiency. And we need to understand, where is this coming from? And most oftentimes, it's because we have deemed ourselves the victim of life, that we aren't worthy or that we don't deserve love in our lives. And that love is just a fleeting moment that occurs. And honestly, it's not, as every moment is now. And if every fleeting moment is love, then we're always in love. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoy that. Feel free, leave comments and questions below, as well as follow me on Instagram at BAAM_ANX to get a real feel of who I am, as well as like the Facebook page. Also, if you guys have any questions on coaching or want some coaching directly from me, feel free and contact me directly for any questions. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out and about what I just talked about. Peace.